Welcome to Harvest. Today we're going a little bit off of the beaten track, but not too far off the path of traditional agriculture. Today we're going to explore horticulture. What is horticulture? Horticulture is the art or practice of garden cultivation, but not too far off the agriculture path, because our guest today has 40 years of experience in the agriculture economy, industry and sector, but is now a horticulturalist. Today we're going to meet Wendy Lee Yuen. Later on today in this episode, we're also going to jump back to the mills. But first, let's go and meet Wendy Lee Yuen in her space, the garden. Welcome to Harvest. Wendy Lee Yuen, good morning. Welcome to Harvest.
Thank you. You're welcome to the garden.
Tell me about the garden. How did you reach the garden?
Well, it started as a long journey where I wanted to plant and I had no land, so I had to save up a little bit and look around for something affordable, because of course Santa Cruz and surroundings is real estate, real estate, not planting land. So when we eventually found this little piece of greenery in the middle of nowhere, I thought it was perfect. My family thought I was mad. But I persevered because I could see the potential. And to my husband's great annoyance, I put the deposit down and closed purchase. And when we did that, it was in 1988, and there was just stinging nettle and forest so thick you couldn't push your way through, but graded it down in 3 days flat and started from scratch. Built the house, finally moved up into it in 1997 with the children, kicking and screaming because it was like, oh my gosh, you're taking me from Maraval to this piece of bush to live. But they survived it to the point where they love it now. And I decided, okay, we had to be a little civilized. So I put the garden, the front garden, in here.
Which we're in now.
Which we're in now. So this has been here since 1997. This was our little oasis.
You said you wanted somewhere to plant.
Mm-hmm.
What's your origin with plants? Where do you have this desire or this interest in planting?
It goes way back to being a toddler growing up in La Romaine on the edge of the Godineau swamp, and always having tools and plants and digging in the soil and puttering and potting and growing our own lettuce and pak choy for the house. And we had animals. And every animal had a name. So it was like, you know, Chloe was a cow, and we had rabbits and chickens and ducks and everything. And I would run away into the swamp to catch crabs and birds and whatever. I even had a scorpion on a piece of thread tied to the window, and that was a pet, you know, I was fascinated with it for a while. But it was from early childhood that I developed this passion for growing things. And to this day, my greatest excitement in life is seeing seeds burst.
Right. I would say that I would recognize you as an agroeconomist. Would that be correct?
An agro anything.
Agro anything.
I answer to agro anything because yes, I do understand the economics of agriculture and production, whether it's food or ornamentals. And we started out here on the farm growing food crops. Very successful initially, especially with the big supermarket chains taking everything that we could carry. But when you had surplus and you had to go to the open market, disaster, complete disaster. I mean, I would, I can relate to you an experience of growing a crop of cucumbers, and you you wash them and pack them and take them to the market, and then the hustler there wants to give you $10 for a 100-pound bag. But I never went back there to do that again.
So that experience was fundamental in your direction. But you already wear many rare hats, because not many agroeconomists have that joy of putting something in the ground and growing it out. They understand the numbers, they understand the business. You are both sides of the equation. So how does that now bring you to horticulture? Because in essence now you are a horticulturalist.
Yes, absolutely. So it wasn't a difficult transition, because while we were growing crops, which is like I would say up to a 3-month exercise where you don't need to be in the crop every day, I was also operating a landscaping and maintenance business, landscaping solutions. And coming out of that, we generate a lot of clippings when you're maintaining a property. And I didn't see it as trash or waste. I always say one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I would bring all of those cuttings back to the farm and plant them, because in the eventuality, and I mean it was regular, that I was going to landscape another property, I would need planting material, and if it's free, what better? So I grew a lot of the material myself and just expanded the growing. So alongside having crops in the fields, I had the greenhouse inside, and I had the production going, so I wouldn't waste anything. And then it continued for years and years and years. I landscaped a lot of big properties. I did overseas jobs, I did hotel chains, I did work right up the islands. And when I retired, here I am with all these plants in the greenhouse and not going out to do any more jobs. And you have to water the plants, you have to weed the plants, you have to fertilize, you have to take care of them, and that takes some money. So what am I going to do with all these plants? And then people started to tell me, well, why don't you sell the plants? And I thought, okay, so we opened our gates to visitors to come and purchase. And initially it was a lot of my past students and then fellow business people who were in the same landscaping industry would come and purchase. And then Trinidad has a network like no other. I call it 610 on steroids, because the word just spreads out there, and one person tells the next and the next and the next, and then they call up and say, so-and-so gave me your number, is it okay if I come to get some plants? They say, all right. It turned into a business, yes. So the garden became public. So now we're open to people.
And then that is the birth of the garden.
Yes, yes.
Munich Home and Garden specializes in hardware, paint, home decor, tools, agricultural supplies, pet supplies, car accessories, appliances, and much more. Located at Val Park Shopping Plaza, Atlantic Plaza Point Lisis, and Eastern Main Road, St. Joseph. Shopping comfort with our well-secured outlets. Call us at 663-5163 or visit the Munich Home and Garden Facebook page or www.munichttt.com. Munich Home and Garden, where we make shopping a fun experience.
Stop the rising cost of food now. Grow your own food. Provide for your family and earn an income with Plant Doctor's Hydro Aqua of number 30 Matilda Road, Princestown. Grow safe, clean, and organic with your hydroponic supplies, organic potting soil, fertilizers, pesticides, and seeds. Let us help you grow and earn. Call 379-6710 or WhatsApp us at 372-9440. Plant Doctor's Hydro Aqua. Let's grow TNT together, one plant at a time.
horticulture in itself is not just the growing of pretty flowers, right?
No.
It's a multi-disciplined approach in its own. Can you talk to me about horticulture and some of the offshoots or
Yeah, well, horticulture can be divided into ornamental horticulture, which is literally all the pretty things, and then crop agronomy, which is the edible horticulture, which is all the crops that we grow in the ground. That is horticulture. So you have food production as one aspect, but in the ornamental side, it's so diverse because you have all the events, weddings, graduation, special events, all the ministers with their meetings have to have a raised platform and you know, greenery all around, floral arrangements.
weddings, birthdays, parties?
All these things require special skills. Then you have you know, people who will specialize in just renting to those people who do the events. Then you will have people who are doing just garden maintenance. Then you have pest control operators who will just come in and spray all the bugs in your yard for you. Then you have the landscapers and the landscape designers, and there's just so many facets to it. And then you have the nursery production, because even in nursery production you have people who only do the little $5 cut something and stick in a cup and, you know, have an entire production unit just doing that alone. Some people will specialize, they'll only do trees and palms like a forestry setting, and then others will have anything and everything. I mean, like, we do a little bit of everything here. So we have a full range of garden plants. So if you're looking for something for the garden, whether it's a pot, some soil, you know, a short plant, a tall plant, a shrub, something colorful, something flowering, and the ladies always want something with a little flower. That's par for the course, you know, something to cheer them up. So yeah, there's a lot in the ornamental side that could create business opportunities. And what we've been seeing since the lockdown last year, people losing their jobs want to just have a little home business, and they come and they buy wholesale, and then they go and they set up a little sign on the gate, and they're in business and they're turning $1 and they're happy to do that.
Have you walked away from agriculture?
I wouldn't say walked away, no, because I'm still contacted continuously by youngsters who want advice on how to get started and what they should focus on. And my best words of wisdom to them are, if you can control the weeds, you can become a success. But you cannot plant something today, walk away for a week, come back next week and expect it to have grown all by itself there. You come back, the weeds have gotten bigger than what you planted, and you can't even find the crop. You get so discouraged that, you know, you just want to throw your hands up, mow down the whole place and start again, which is not always viable. So, you know, I take them through the nuts and bolts. If you're really serious about this, you've got to save some money, because you've got to farm with technology now. You cannot expect to get 10 laborers in there with a hoe, a fork and a spade to do your weeding manually. And weed killer is going to kill your plant faster than it kills your weeds.
Right,
so that's not the answer either. So you've got to use weed barrier fabric, you've got to use...
Or other items like cardboard,
yes,
or anything that blocks.
I had the best crop of string beans ever when I covered an entire area with newspaper about a ½ inch thick. And then as that newspaper created mulch and then turned into compost, it got so rich that the beans were just prolific. I was amazed and delighted.
So you're off the front lines of agriculture.
I am. I've made my contribution, I've made my mark. I think that I've shared a tremendous amount with those that I've come in contact with, and I have always tried to do my best to do things rationally and sensibly, and you know, get agriculture the focus that it required. I will always be disappointed in my life that things that I spoke about at the start of my career, at the end of my career 40 years later, a lot of it hadn't changed, or, you know, we were just singing the same song. But maybe this whole global pandemic and the food price proliferation might start to push us faster in the direction that we should be going in, which is, you know, more organized food production. It's not good enough to say we have to grow more, because if every single one of us went outside there and grew a crop of tomatoes, where are we going to sell it? You know, so it requires thought and planning, and that's what we failed to do. You need to sit down and be sensible about this and say, okay, I need 200 farmers to focus on root crops, and I need 200 farmers to do green vegetables, and I need 200 farmers to do the tomatoes and peppers, etc. And spread it out and choose suitable soils and suitable areas for that production, rather than trying to get somebody to farm on land that's totally unsuitable for the crop that you want them to grow. And if we don't integrate all these things sensibly, then we're going to be fighting the same battle in another 40 years.
Stay plugged into Harvest, as next week Wendy takes us into her bromelade house to showcase her vast multitudes of plants. Harvest will be right back.
Stop the rising cost of food now. Grow your own food. Provide for your family and earn an income with Plant Doctor's Hydro Aqua of number 30 Matilda Road, Princestown. Grow safe, clean, and organic with your hydroponic supplies, organic potting soil, fertilizers, pesticides, and seeds. Let us help you grow and earn. Call 379-6710 or WhatsApp us at 372-9440. Plant Doctor's Hydro Aqua. Let's grow TNT together, one plant at a time.
Munich Home and Garden specializes in hardware, paint, home decor, tools, agricultural supplies, pet supplies, car accessories, appliances, and much more. Located at Val Park Shopping Plaza, Atlantic Plaza, Point Lisis, and Eastern Main Road, St. Joseph. Shopping comfort with our well-secured outlets. Call us at 663-5163 or visit the Munich Home and Garden Facebook page or www.municht.com. Munich Home and Garden, where we make shopping a fun experience.
Michael, we're standing in front of one of your Syntropic beds. Tell us what we're looking at. What has happened here?
Okay, well, we want to try and mimic wherever possible this whole aspect of a forest environment, right? Now, as you know, in a forest environment, you don't have a monoculture, this, that, the other.
Yeah, you don't have one mango tree or one pine tree or whatever it is.
So many things growing in the space. In building your beds, you're using branches from trees that have fallen, wood, which eventually rots out and replaced, but you're getting in the microorganisms inside are doing their dance.
Yeah, that's boosting your microfungal network below the soils as well.
Correct. So when we started off this bed here, we put in the long-term plants. In this case here would be cocoa. But in the placenta stage, in the beginning there, we would have planted things like lettuce and arugula, beans, which would be a nitrogen fixer in the soil. And as the strata went up there, the strata being the head height of the plant. Correct, right. Yeah. All is changed. So what we then here decided, well, okay, after we did the lettuce and that sort of thing, we put in sweet potato inside there.
Okay.
So it works as a ground cover, and also the aspect of supplying the tubers for you to eat, and the young sweet potato cuttings here, you can use it in a salad or a bhaji.
Right, yes,
Yeah. And again, you have here many cultivars. Besides that, you will have the cocoa here. You will have here the Arabica, which is from Papua New Guinea. A very good nutritional value, a member of the okra family, so you can use it. You can make a kalaloo with it, a bhaji with it, eat it raw in a salad. You have here sorrel in the space, growing very healthily. This plant is in here maybe about 2 months. This plant from seed, this is a 2-month-old tree.
That is 2 months.
2 months old. Yeah. The same thing from seed with this pigeon pea tree here. 2 months old.
2 months.
Yeah.
Plants look very strong and healthy. I mean, just look at the textures and the greens
Yeah. in
the leaves.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you have here, if you look across here, you have here the pawpaw, part of the environment. You have the pineapple, you have the topitambo, pawpaw, lemongrass,
The Ibica again.
Ibica again, pigeon peas, you have poi bhaji,
And that is all in one bed.
all in one bed, yeah. And then you would have then you have the bananas. Basically the bananas will be your food source with respect to cutting down the center and laying it flat for the worms to come, your vermicompost into your bed from the worms, your bananas which you chop and drop, the leaves, biomass inside of here. All you may think, and to the eye it looks like a total confusion, you know, but in a forest environment it's not order, it's biodiversity, you know, everything working together as a
Everything
team.
finds its space.
That's right.
Eventually, sorry to cut you, in 10 years' time, this would be a stand of cocoa and banana trees?
Cocoa and banana trees, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you could make another bed elsewhere
Correct.
as the strata, which we've established as the
Correct.
space of the plant, as your strata
Correct.
increases and goes up.
Correct.
Okay. And of course, that would be cutting your light coming into your bed. So-
Right. Like look at this plant here. That's a baby immortelle, which is a nitrogen fixer within the soil.
Which is a big, big tree.
Yeah. But what you'll do is that you will cut and drop.
So you would coppice the top of that.
Yeah.
So I've heard you say chop and drop
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah.
Tell me about chop and drop.
Okay. Let's say you have the banana tree, banana leaf there, right? So this is a food source for your plant. So you take off your leaf, you take your secateurs, cut it up, and just drop it in the bed.
Right.
As it rots and the microorganisms do their thing, you get fertility, more fertility going into the soil.
And you're talking about doing a chop and drop on an immortelle tree.
Yeah, look at it there. And we won't let that go too big. I
Right,
mean,
because then that would take over the whole space,
correct,
right?
correct, right.
Right. And you can't be harvesting immortelle trees.
No, unless we find a new source of something from it, you know.
Boy, maybe something. What have you come across any disadvantages to the system? Any hindrances?
Not really. It's just that you have time to manage your beds. You know, that is the major thing, really.
And the greatest part of bed management is its establishment.
Correct.
Right.
When you start, this is like the birth of a child, an animal. The whole process takes from the womb.
Right. Okay.
And that's why we say here in this simple tree right here, when we talk of the first layer, we talk it as the placenta.
Right.
And the placenta is what feeds human beings, animals, and also starts off the process working, you know. There's a citrus tree inside of here as well.
Which would be part of your intentional design for this space.
Correct.
So how many years would you forecast that you'd be using a bed like this for?
This here would we continue ad infinitum,
Okay.
you know, because like for example, when you have the cocoa growing up here, and you come back and you chop up your pods,
Back in. Okay.
you know, it's imperative there be no bare soil here at all, right? The cardboard in itself covers the top layer of the soil, but it also used as a feed source for worms. And these worms will produce vermicompost, so there's an ongoing fertility taking place within this space. And you want to encourage that.
So not just is your cardboard encouraging bioactivity from your earthworms, but it's also, one, it's feeding your soil as it breaks down, and two, it's giving you a weed-free pathway between the beds. Correct,
yeah.
And this is a free and readily accessible material.
Yes, this is actually, people want you to take the cardboard. But it's important when you put it on your car, any kind of synthetic things like different types of tape, you know, colored material. You don't really want to. You don't want to. The ink.
There's a lot of plastics in the inks.
And also lead too as well.
Right. Okay.
So you have to be very careful with that.
This has been horticulture and permaculture and Syntropic. Horticulture, a multi-faceted growing medium. And if there's one thing in common that we've seen between the Mills and Wendy, it's about the sharing of knowledge, the sharing of experience to make all of our activities easier and more productive. We would like to thank both the Mills and indeed Wendy here at the garden for everything they have shared with us, and indeed sharing their bounty with us here on Harvest. Let's remember, we are all in this together. And to my daughter, Daddy loves you, baby. This is Harvest.